We're go. John, you having a good time down there, buddy?
I'm just kidding. I was doing that on purpose. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 158 of Super Deformed Gamescast.
128.
No, it's 158.
It's 128.
No, it's 150. It's seriously 158.
Is it seriously 158?
I don't fucking know anymore.
I don't. Yeah, no, I have no idea.
You've confused the shit out of me.
Can you guys figure it?
Maybe it is. You know what? Whatever. This is definitely.
It's an episode.
I can confirm to you this is in fact an episode of Super Deformed Gamescast.
Off to a great start, guys.
We're already fucking. It's already off the rails. It's done already. I'm one of your hosts, John, aka at Mr. Megadov on Twitter, and we have. You know what? First, I want to introduce our brand new permanent member, probably our last permanent member of the podcast, because hopefully nobody leaves. We don't have to recruit anybody else.
We'll see how that goes.
Bold.
I don't know what episode of the podcast you're on. I think I'm just gonna turn around and walk right back.
I don't blame you at all. Rebekah Valentine is now part of Super Deformed Gamescast, part of our weird little family.
Yay!
Finally.
I know it's and what's funny about this is that I had a few people DM me when we announced it, and they said it's Rebekah, isn't it? And I was like,
no.
Who knows who I am? How?
So
I don't know who you are. If that makes you feel any better.
So I tell you what. So Rebekah, when you first guested with us on your guest appearance, you were on with Matt Piscatella. You made a huge impression on the people who watch us, and so people were
very important people,
very super important people, and they actually DM'd me, and they were like,
people that wield a lot of
power.
power.
I'm not gonna tell you who it is. You're gonna have to wait. And they were like, I already know it's Rebekah Valentine. That's the only person it could be. She appeared most recently, and she really meshed well with you guys. And I was like, you're fucking crazy.
No.
What are you talking about?
Mysterious people are.
I told them it's actually Troy. It was actually Troy Baker.
Oh,
I said that was our new member.
Hey, can I have Troy Baker's number?
He had to settle for me.
Troy Baker's a handsome man. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, he is fantastic.
Is that on the itinerary for tonight, John? Is we're just going to discuss how handsome Troy Baker is?
Hey, look, I mean,
We can discuss
I'm okay with this. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay,
we
thank
can.
you.
No,
Troy
the last
Baker
episode it was
tribute
Hollow
cast?
Moon.
Sure.
This time it's handsome Troy Baker.
Okay.
Hollow Moon. Rebekah, welcome to the podcast. We are absolutely delighted to have you.
Oh man, I forgot about that.
Yeah, we're not even going. We're not even.
We can't go down that again.
I'm sorry, I mentioned
I
it.
can't have another Hollow Moon discussion. I'm sorry. And as always, my partners in crime, Zach, what's going on, my man?
I'm chewing food, so I have to.
Yeah,
unmute.
that's exactly why I called on you.
I only podcast while I'm eating. No, I'm good. It's almost Friday, so that's.
And Justin, I want to point out, Justin and Zach have their Zach. They fixed your reviews on OpenCritic, and Justin, your first review is now up on OpenCritic, man. You are a
cool. I
vetted
checked that
critic.
out.
You're a professional video game reviewer.
You're
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
you're a real gamer.
You earned that capital G in gamer.
You are not in a coma. Congratulations.
Yes.
Coma. You are now, and Jesus Christ.
I almost choked to death.
Derek Van Dyke, who's running the podcast now these days because my internet is shit. What's going on, buddy?
Not much, man. Not much. I'm just making it happen.
And Brandon
All
one day is
this.
going to be back on camera. Brandon
What up,
is
dude?
with us. Come back on
Does
camera.
his camera just not work, or is he like mysteriously recovering from being
No, I
blown in
just don't
half?
like using it. Yeah,
All right, that's fair.
He's just like, I got tired of being on camera.
it works perfectly.
It does. It does. But at this point, I feel like if people didn't see that weird DeviantArt you have, like it wouldn't make any sense to anybody.
That is where I got it.
That is a
from.
photograph, sir.
No, that's like just some DeviantArt that he found.
I'm
Oh.
absolutely convinced that when he does come back, it's just
You're gonna look exactly like that.
Yeah, it's gonna be like a person.
Yeah. He's gonna have.
I've never seen his face before. I've never...
He's gonna be
my old
leading.
NeoGAF avatar cosplay. Yeah.
It's just gonna be that face, but it's got like the glasses with the fake mustache on it.
He's gonna. So
Not
anyway,
not Brandon.
not Brandon. So I wanted to tell you guys. So there's a lot to talk about. It's been a really busy week. But before we get into all that, I mentioned before we went live that I had a game that I had played. Today. I wanted to tell you guys about, right? And that game is the Tetris Effect. I played the Tetris Effect for about 3 hours today. I played a lot of Tetris Effect because that motherfucker wrote me in like nothing I've ever experienced.
Like Tetris.
So dude, so it is one of the most audio. It is just an audio visual treat from start to finish.
This is Mizuguchi, right?
This is This is his crack at Tetris, and I played it. We have a giant 100-inch movie theater screen in our basement. I threw it up on that bad boy. And so here's my only concern about the Tetris effect, right? So it's also a PSVR title, and I'm afraid this game might actually fucking kill somebody if they play it on PSVR, because wow,
More intense than Thumper.
Yes, dude, it's up there. Like, there's explosions of light and color, and I mean, just dude, I was like, in all seriousness, I was mesmerized. I didn't know what to expect out of this game, because I mean, Mizuguchi doing Tetris is like like, if you love games like Lumines, for example, like that's like your dream, right? It's like, holy shit, he's gonna tackle Tetris.
I love me some Lumines.
And Lumines, and this is now, after hours of playing the Tetris effect, the demo is up on PSN right now, so you can go download it. But it is now one of my most anticipated games coming out this holiday. God, I can't fucking wait for this thing now. It is, Brandon, the soundtrack is exactly what you expect from a Mizuguchi game. It is
Nice.
ethereal and sublime and just completely
stuff.
incredible. Oh man, it's so good. It's so fucking good.
John, I have a very short, incredibly short list of games that I'm slowly adding to, that eventually is going to tip me over the edge to buy VR. Like, I've used VR, but I still don't have a headset of any kind. Is this something that I should add to my list?
So like, obviously I didn't play the whole game, right? And there looks like there's a lot of meat on the bones here, right? Like there's a big campaign that you can play, and it takes you through the galaxy. And it's no, dude, it's a campaign.
Is it going to be a narrative thriller?
No. Listen to this. There's actually a campaign that you play through. It's like a journey through the cosmos, and they call it like a journey discovery. It's so there's some kind of campaign there, and
like
I'll tell you right
now.
now.
A canon?
So I don't know about a plot
lore.
Dude, Tetris has the deepest fucking lore possible, right? Like, it's like, I'm telling you right now.
Can we say that after the Smash Direct?
We can, but no. In all seriousness, there's also a really cool system. There's it's called the effect system, and basically what you do is you pick an avatar, and you can see other people's avatars playing the game all across the globe. You can rotate across the globe. You can see what activities they're doing. You can send them messages. It's just, you can pick your mood based on a variety of movements that your avatar can make. Like, I picked a fish, and he was just swimming around space, around the earth, and you can see everybody else's avatars just kind of swirling around. It's just so cool. It's
the Nintendo Miiverse, but for Tetris.
Yeah, but you're a fish. But you're a
Zach
fish.
is on
like
today.
Okay.
It's like the Miiverse, but you're like a spiritual fish.
That sounds awesome.
If you customized your fish for Miiverse, then it would be the same, but it's not, because you're a fish.
Is this a video game, or is this a dumbass dream you had?
Yeah, I think there's a gas leak in John's home, actually.
So it's entirely possible. It's entirely possible this is just some kind of fever dream that I had. And I don't know, maybe I've got malaria. Who knows? Like, that's entirely possible. Well, what I can tell you is that if this is malaria, it's the fucking most awesome case of malaria anyone ever had.
You know what?
So, just saying that.
Speaking of games that are seeming very tight going into release, let's talk about a game that is falling apart at the seams.
No, Zach, I want to talk about Psychedelic Fish, Zach. Why can't I talk about Psychedelic Fish?
You know what? Realistically, we might still be able to in the context of Fallout 76.
Yeah, Fallout 76.
All right, very well. Let's go ahead and hit our first topic, which is Fallout 76 and the issues surrounding that game.
Yeah.
Do you want to jump into it? I got the article here if you need me to quote from it.
Which article? Because there's like three major ones that we need to hit.
I have the most recent article, which is the PC Gamer article that Justin tweeted today.
Justin, you've talked a lot about this, offline. Do you want to drive us a little bit in this conversation?
Yeah,
sure. I'll just give kind of a quick rundown of what's been going on at the Fallout 76 beta, which I personally have not been able to play because of the scheduling. And it's a 50
They apparently extended it through to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, by the way. So I've had several people tell us that they were like, "Oh no, we might be late to the show because of the Fallout 76 beta," and I'm like, "That's ironic." All things considered.
So yeah, I mean, that's kind of the first thing. I mean, this is on the more minor side of things, but it launched on Xbox a week before everything else, which in itself is kind of a standard thing with some betas. And and it has a very small window that you can play it each day. And it didn't launch on PC and PS4 until this week, which now is like after Red Dead Redemption 2 and other stuff have come out. So I think it kind of, the combination of the scheduling stuff and the issues it's been having and the fact it's a 50 gig download have kind of...
Hold on. It's 50 gigs?
It is the entire game.
Yeah. And your progress carries, which is cool.
I mean, which is why, your progress carries, it's the full game, which is, I believe is why they have it at limited hours, so that you can't just play the whole game. But I think that's turning off a lot of people from downloading it and stuff. But into the more serious issues, so when it launched on PC, it is using Bethesda's own launcher, and it froze the launcher for everybody. Which prompted Bethesda to put out a tweet saying, please do not click on any buttons while we fix it. It was not just affecting a few people. It completely broke the entire launcher for everyone. So we're off to a good start.
I'm sorry.
And then shortly after that, I don't know if this was just the PC version. I think it might have just been on PC, but they did do a patch to it that week. And for some users, it deleted the entire 50 gig file.
John's over there dying.
It's so Bethesda. This is
the significance here is like the file size, right? Like in a lot of parts of America, 50 gigs takes a long time to download.
In a lot of parts of America, 50 gigs is the amount you get in a month.
Well, you have a bandwidth cap, but also with limited hours.
Yeah, with limited hours. So
that's insane.
In combination of the fact that
There's so many different things.
It's funny. It completely has killed a lot of people's ability to even play it.
No shit.
And we're not even done.
Are you okay?
John, we are not done because
we're not done.
Oh no. So and this is another PC specific issue. I'll do a rundown of some of the console things because Digital Foundry is also taking a look at it and it's not doing so hot there. So the next thing is they have found that physics is still hard-coded to your frame rate on the PC version. And keep in mind, Fallout 76 is a game with full PvP. And so people are turning the settings way down and looking at the floor and being able to sprint at insane speeds because their frame rate is so high.
It's too good. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's good. It's so good.
And and also like performance on consoles is very poor.
Similar to Fallout 4.
Yeah, similar to Fallout 4.
Similar to Bethesda games.
Yeah. I know on the base Xbox One it can completely hang up sometimes. Like this game is in a very, very rough state. And they had put out a statement ahead of time telling us we were going to see some spectacular bugs. And it wasn't just limited to the beta. They were clear that they were extending this to the game's release.
I saw Pete Hines tweet.
And yes, and again today, Pete Hines commented that it has not been smooth, and they're working on fixing stuff, and there will be more issues coming. Why do they not delay this game?
Because look, this is...
Well, hang on, Reb, what?
Yeah.
His exact phrasing was really interesting, though, right? Because they asked him how the beta was going, and he said something like, "Ask the people who are playing on PC." That's not a direct quote, but that's basically.
That's pretty close. Yeah.
I was browsing his Twitter, Pete Hines' Twitter feed today, and he. So typically, when you're head of marketing, you retweet positive things about your game, which is understandable. That's his job. But the one thing he retweeted was the Xbox version is coming along, and they're patching bugs. It's a lonely experience by yourself, but that's okay. And it was like Pete, you're endorsing someone calling your game lonely, which is not even talking about technical problems. Someone's like, "Hey, I'm not having a lot of fun with friends," and Pete's like, "Retweet." It's a weird. It's a weird. It's gonna be a weird game, and like, here's the thing. I think we're too late for a delay. I think it's way too late.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think that we're probably gonna see
never
some
too
sort of
late.
reward for early players, right? Whether that means they're gonna mark down the game at launch, which I don't think they can do this late in the game.
I think they'll probably do some kind of kind of like ambassador program kind of thing, because
they'll give you a pet or something like that.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, right?
Here's a rad roach. His name is Benny. You can all have one. Like,
everybody's got a Benny. So the actual quote from Pete Hines, he said, "We definitely knew we were going to have issues and bumps." And he was saying this on a stream. That was the whole point of it, is to try and find those things and flesh them out. But at the same time, also give people a chance to experience the game and see it. And so we've hit some problems that we quite honestly didn't expect, which I think is just perfect, sums it up perfectly. Like, who would sit there and say, you know what, there's no possible way that a bug would cause my entire game to get deleted from like that right there is the most meta fucking thing you could possibly imagine.
I mean,
but that's the game. Like,
not even the save game. The game itself.
The game is just gone.
A lot of it reminds me of like unsurprisingly, or I guess surprisingly, of the Master Chief Collection. How that game was like, how in hands of reviewers it worked, and then as soon as it hit mass market, they were like, we just didn't anticipate how this would work when people log on. It just feels like, and again, the big thing that broke the Master Chief Collection initially was they were stitching a bunch of things that weren't supposed to work online together, and then that's kind of what Fallout 76 is like. They're like, hey, we took this really janky old engine and are like, what if we put 30 people right here?
Yeah, it was actually funny in the Digital Foundry breakdown. They usually try, even like on games that they are hard on, they usually try to at least have a positive slant. And I remember when they were talking about the engine for Fallout 76, they're like, yeah, it's the same engine from Fallout 4, and it has some of the same bugs that we mentioned at launch for Fallout 4. Those are still in effect, and it has netcode bolted onto it. That was kind of their summation of it.
So all of this would be
2 weeks. This is not a
this game like this game is in rougher
and it's going
state.
to sell millions.
This game is in rougher state.
No, it will, because it's a Bethesda game, and Bethesda gets absolutely a complete pass from.
People go nuts over Fallout too. Like people,
people love Fallout.
Like their fancy collector's editions and merchandising shit. Like people go really nuts over Fallout. I'm interested to see where this is in a year or 2 years, because it sounds suspiciously like. Not quite along the same vein, like this is buggy as opposed to content low, but I mean it seems like it's content low too. But like, I'm thinking like No Man's Sky and Sea of Thieves, like games like that.
That's a good comparison.
Like, this is not what I thought it was. But then, like a year down the line, you look at it and you're like, wow, if this is the game that had come out, I would have been like all over this. But it's kind of too late.
I still think conceptually it's very cool, and if they could pull it off, it could be a massive, massive success. It just is not ready for prime time. Like,
so, I a lot of the complaints I've heard. Now, full disclosure, I have not played the game, but I've talked to many people who have, and I hear the same complaint over and over and over. And it's that if there's no players in the game, the world just feels dead, because there aren't any NPCs beyond those robots that.
Oh yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah. So which I understand to a certain extent. But for example, I was talking to a friend of mine at work, and he loves Fallout, and he loves all Fallout games, and he says the beta completely unsold me on the game, simply because he said it's not what I expected. He said this isn't the experience that I thought I was in for. When you hear like a Fallout Online game, I think he and others were expecting some kind of an ESO type of experience.
Yeah.
And that's very, very much this isn't that at all. Like this is the complete opposite of that. So I wanted to see
4 with online bolted on. Yeah.
Well,
no, Zach, please. No.
Well,
Zach,
I guess one of my big complaints of this game, technical issues aside, which are astounding. One of the big problems that I have with this game is when you don't have NPCs, it means all of your narrative quest, anything you want to do, whether even if it's just like oh, here's a little side story of a person who died on the toilet, and you're going to listen to their audio log. The problem, which awesome. But like the problem is they don't think about how it should function with 4 people playing. So like you're hearing an audio log that's giving you and your 4 friends a quest, and it's playing out while you're all shouting at each other over a microphone. Like that's like systematically, you aren't going to understand the quests you're doing. You're just going to be going to a waypoint on your mark because you're not going to be hearing the audio logs because you're talking with your friends. Like you cannot have stories that are driven through audio logs while you're chatting with your friends. Like that's not how storytelling works. It doesn't work that way.
It's the same problem that a lot of other MMOs have too. Like when I was playing WoW with my friends, we'd be trying to quest together, and it would suck because whoever was leading the group would pick up the quest and share it with everybody, and we just run to whatever the marker was and do the thing.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't matter like what the reason we were doing it.
It's just busy work and checklists at that point.
Right. And like I don't think there's any excuses for Sea of Thieves having a lack of content, but you understand the repetitive nature of Sea of Thieves quest design because every quest design in Sea of Thieves is done in a way where like you don't really need like somebody to give you 30 seconds of story to explain why you're doing it. It's just like, hey, go to this spot and look for a cursed person. And like that's simple and repetitive. And I just don't know if it's going to work in a Fallout environment. But like you said, I think in a year from now, Bethesda might figure it out. It's just what kind of community do they have left at that point?
Or alternatively, in a year or two, they may patch the game and it starts deleting other games on people's systems.
So,
it'll be really interesting to keep an eye on how this game evolves because, knowing Bethesda, and they're not going to just drop this. It's clearly going to be something they're going to support for a long time. But I just I feel a lot for the developers working on it because they're probably crunching hard to try to get this in a state where it's comfortable to sell, and it's harder to fix bugs once it's gone live.
The game is running on an ancient engine, isn't it?
Yeah. On top of that, and now they're going to be getting angry messages and stuff from players and stuff. Like it's not even just from the point of view of somebody buying it that this isn't going to be polished at launch because it's clear it's not going to be. But like I feel for the people working on it too.
This is just a quick question, and I don't have an answer. I just want to know what everybody else thinks. And maybe Reb, because you're close to the analyst business side of it. A lot of people talk about hype cycles in games and how they're often overdrawn, and Bethesda's gotten really good at avoiding that because they announce a game at E3 and they often ship it that fall. That's not always true, but they've started to do that. Is this an argument against that model? Because if this game had been announced prior, we might have a beta, significantly before where we're at now in the launch cycle. And we would have possibly seen a delay. Do you think this 6-month cycle tightens them in an uncomfortable spot?
I think it's less about the period of time between the announcement and the release and more about when they put those announcements and release dates. Like it doesn't sound like the problem. I mean, the problem here is they probably should have had like a more tight closed beta at some point, but I don't think it doesn't sound like that would have fixed their problem. It sounds like I haven't played it, but it sounds like this is so bad that they needed a hot 6 to 12 more months to work on the damn thing.
Sure.
Like this sounds like an E3 next year announcement.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Honestly, everything I'm hearing makes it sound like there's a lot of problems, even just on like the conceptual level, with a lot of just the design choices for making this game. I mean, like I said, a Fallout game with almost no NPCs, where everything is basically driven on hoping that there's a bunch of people playing to have those kind of like natural experiences. I mean, there's some cracks there.
I saw a tweet from one of my friends criticizing the way the game even handles PvP. Like apparently you're invincible until you shoot another player.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's to prevent griefing,
there's
but
problems
it's just
with the way that is handled.
Yeah.
So going forward, like we've seen how ESO has evolved over time, right? Like it's your standard MMO fare. How do we see this game evolving over time? This is just a question more for people who have played it than anything else. Simply because I don't given that each portion of the game, like each world is instanced, right? Like so there's a set amount of players in each play space, and I don't know what the limit is. I know there's a limit to how many players are roaming around in one space.
30, I believe.
Is it 30? Okay, yeah, I knew it was something like that. With that being said, where do we see this? How do we see this game evolving meaningfully and providing the player with the experience? Because with ESO, it's such a story-driven. Because I've played ESO, and it is very much a story-driven narrative experience, just like any old Elder Scrolls game. Well, Fallout is in the same vein, is also traditionally a very narrative-driven game. But when you take that piece of the puzzle away from something like Fallout and you're left with the skeleton of just gameplay and nothing else, like how do you evolve that over time? I don't understand how you tack onto that.
I would say the thing that I've always heard from people since Skyrim is that I want Bethesda games and I want to play them with my friends, but nobody said I want to play Skyrim with my friends and also 29 other people. And so I think this is a shot in the dark. My guess is that we're going to see more co-op, less PvP, because I think
I know people are also really skeptical about how the nuke system is going to work because it just sounds like extreme griefing.
People are going to grief the shit out of those nukes. Yep.
But they've also talked about how, in order to get one, it's essentially like kind of like a, big team based, attack on an area. And I think we'll probably see them doing more of those sorts of co-op. Yeah, I agree with Zach. Some more of those co-op based things with maybe more dedicated rewards for the individual player instead of the nuke system.
Yep.
So I guess I have one more question, and I'll throw this to people who haven't answered, like Reb and Derek and Brandon. The online competitive or the online space is more competitive now than ever. You've got games like Fortnite. Anthem is coming out. Destiny 2 Forsaken is completely reinvigorated.
Anthem's gonna be huge.
Anthem's going to be massive. At least starting out. The Division 2 is dropping next year. For Honor has seen a massive resurgence in player count. I think there's a place for Fallout in all this, but how long do you guys think the game has? Like, let's say it takes them longer than is optimal to get all these problems ironed out, to get content into the game. How long do you think this game has before people move on to the many other online offerings that are either now available or coming shortly?
I mean, I don't think that they have like a very limited time frame. There are plenty of games that have gone on for a very long time, either in early access or just like being failed launches, and then coming back from that and gaining back a pretty significant player base.
No Man's Sky.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It depends on. I think the thing is, the longer they take, the more work they have to put into it. Like, if they want to fix this up and get people to come back 6 months after launch, that's one thing. That same amount of work is not going to be sufficient if they wait until 2 years after launch to, try to save it. But if they're committed, I think they could potentially make it, like I said, get that player retention and really bounce back even as far as 2 years out, if they're willing to stick to it and try.
Yeah, I think what's interesting about what you're saying is that it doesn't sound like, just from what I've heard about the game, that there's a lot to do to play this, like if you want to play this like in the long term.
Yeah.
Like it sounds like the kind of game that's fun for, maybe 10 hours, maybe 20 if you don't run into too many bugs. But it doesn't sound like there's a whole lot of long-term content like going on or anything really interesting. And so if they don't, their first problem that they have to tackle is how buggy and how messed up it is. And if they are spending so much time fixing that, they're not going to be able to add any more like interesting and new content for players who are committed to explore. And you said 2 years. Well, 2 years from now, they're going to be announcing what? Fallout, whatever the hell we're on now. That's not
Fallout 5.
Or it'll be
it'll probably be Starlink or Elder Scrolls.
Elder Scrolls 6 or
But what I mean is they can't. I don't know that like they're really into Fallout right now. Like they get that people are just really hungry for Fallout stuff, and so they're probably not gonna wait, a super long time before, even if it's not Fallout 5, before they bring out another big Fallout property or something.
Well, so to bounce off of that, the thing is, Fallout 4 was, I'm going to use the word disastrous at launch, and is still not in great shape, even quite a bit down the road, and with much paid expansions, is still not in great shape. Fallout 76 sounds like it's going to launch as a disaster to play, and a disaster full of bugs. So then they want to come out with a third Fallout game in relatively short succession. Like, I joked earlier that Bethesda gets a pass, but I don't know that I think 2 messy Fallout games this short together are going to cause people not to want another Fallout that quickly. And they would be smartest to wait if it was part of what I think part of why Bethesda gets away with releasing buggy unfinished games is that they take so long between entries in each series. And even when they cycle series, right, when you go Elder Scrolls to Fallout, there's a good chunk of time between them. So, you know, people have time to fall back into like, oh no, it's okay, they'll treat me right this time, you know, like.
Well, the next big project is Elder Scrolls 6. It sounds like that's gonna be the next big one, and
or
Starfield.
Or
Starfield 4. I think they said Starfield and then Elder Scrolls 6 is how they're approaching it. So
it makes me wonder: is that going to have the same kind of issue?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Because until people stop buying these games at launch in the millions and then complaining online with all of their friends that, oh man, I hate this, but I'm still going to buy the next one. Like, I have tons of people I know who hated what happened with Fallout 4, said they were they felt mistaken in purchasing Fallout 4 and are still going to line up and buy Fallout 76, also knowing that it's trash. Like, it's almost like Stockholm syndrome. I don't know how to describe it.
And like, there's this weird conundrum with Bethesda as a developer and then as a publisher, right? Where like the stuff they develop is a buggy mess, but it sells incredibly well. And then the things that they publish, like The Evil Within, Dishonored, Prey, are all like these really, and Wolfenstein are all these really, really tight experiences that end up like selling pretty poorly. Yeah. And so it just seems like that developer and publishing house just kind of has this weird situation going on. But
well, I definitely. It seems that the left hand isn't talking to the right in a lot of these.
You know what? If Fallout 76 will fund The Evil Within 3, then I'm okay. I'm fine.
That's all. I'm fine with that.
I mean, that basically is kind of Bethesda's strategy. They have their Fallouts and Elder Scrolls games, and then they fund these smaller titles with it. Which and I know it's interesting for me because I love Bethesda as a publisher. I do not care for them as a game developer.
Yeah. Like
for the Bethesda game studios, I love pretty much every studio under the Bethesda like publishing umbrella.
So I just want to point this out to everybody. I have ordered Julian in chat to come up with some premium gifts for this episode, but he wants us to do something funny.
That's a fucking great dunk.
He wants us to do.
None of us have ever done anything funny, Julian.
He wants us to do something funny. Are you? I don't know what you're trying to say, Julian. Like what?
He said do something funny, not say something funny. There's plausible deniability there.
Julian's unmodded. He's unmodded. We're taking it.
Look, am I here? There's a whole other hour for me to be a fucking clown.
No, so here we go. No. Julian wants a song to dance. So I'll give him one. There you go, Julian. How about that, huh?
It's not funny, John.
That's not gonna get a gift.
Fuck you, Dak. Like that was too hard. That was too hard.
Okay.
I don't have any good hats.
That was just. Oh no. Reb needs a hat. Reb needs a good hat.
Don't have one in here. I got to get up and leave. I'm not gonna do that.
So do we? So do what? Hold on.
I'm taking the podcast out of your hands, John. Derek,
we need to go to a new.
Derek, I want you to talk to us. Listen, there's been a lot of leaks about Smash Bros.
Oh, we can talk about this whole situation. Yeah.
But bigger than Smash Bros. Character leaks. I think that we should talk about insider culture and how people treat insiders.
Yeah. So for those of you who weren't following, I'll try to keep this very brief for the backstory information. There was a fake leak for Super Smash Brothers. First hit maybe like a week ago, and it was this fake banner that had like 7 unannounced characters on it, and everybody wanted every character on that, and it was super excited. It was in the background of a Snapchat that there was a rabbit hole, and everyone was convinced this is real. And of course, anytime something like this happens, what happens is your insiders, which is a term that I hate because it describes, as I put it on Twitter, it describes everybody from like small-time YouTubers and bloggers who only focus on leak culture to genuine ass journalists like Imran Khan, who's the editor-in-chief of Game Informer. Like, all of that is the spectrum of insider. So of course you're like, Twitter accounts and YouTubers who only focus on this kind of information debated over it left and right. But real ass journalists came down on the side of this is fake. Don't let yourself get too hyped up because you're going to over expect. And we don't want you to be let down. Like, we're just trying to keep your expectations in line. This is not official and not real, and it is in fact fake. And a lot of people got harassed pretty badly because, of course, the internet could not accept that their fantasy might turn out to be fake. So like I know Imran, for example, had to remove his business email address from a lot of his, like from his Reset Era profile and a couple other places, and had to shut down, and he had to shut down his DMs. I think Liam Robertson went private for a while because of the amount of harassment.
This happens to Liam this happens to Liam every I DM with Liam.
Liam kind of enjoys it, I think, but that's a different thing. but sort of. He enjoys butting heads somewhat, but not to the degree that he gets it. But anyway, people were harassing them. You know, I mean, like Emily Roberts stepped in, and Emily Roberts doesn't really deal with leak stuff too much anymore, but she stepped out to basically be like, look, this is not real. Just don't. And of course, that caused everybody to try to relitigate every little thing she's ever gone wrong, basically treating these people as if all they are is a source of information for them to be harassed and to explain themselves at their leisure. Now, of course, after the direct today, it turns out that leak was indeed fake. The only characters left were Ken and Incineroar.
Which is unbelievable, Derek. I can't believe, like, Grinch in Smash seemed like such a reasonable concept to me.
I wonder if you saw the same thing.
I am fucking struck that it wasn't actually real. I couldn't believe it.
But anyway, so the what I saw a lot of, and what I was already expecting as soon as I was hearing people say that this was fake, was I saw a lot of people very mad. How could this be that there aren't 7 more characters left to be revealed? Even if the Grinch leak was fake, people just had their expectations set that they were going to see 5 to 7 more characters today. And everybody was very mad. And Sakurai doesn't care. Nintendo doesn't care. And basically, I think this is a perfect example, of kind of the dangers of the nebulous, like, insider culture, where people aren't very good at discerning the difference between real journalists and people who have been kind of in the game for a long time, and the myriad Twitter and YouTube accounts that just latch on to rumors and act like they have their own internal sources, you know, and kind of feed into this frenzy. And it's also a great example of like why you got to be careful about leaks, because honestly, if you look objectively at what Super Smash Bros. Is providing over the last entry, I mean, good Lord, how many new characters over Smash 4? I mean, you got everybody from before who was ever cut. As a big Smash fan, I'm looking at it like I got Ridley, I got King K. Rool, I got the Belmonts, I got the Inklings, which, I mean, I love Splatoon, they're adorable. Yeah, we got Isabelle, which isn't really so much for me, but like that's huge for a lot of people. Yeah. You know, like it's objectively a ton that was added to this, but the thing is, somebody decided to try and have some fun with this fake leak, and people got worked up, and then now they're mad that that's not what they got.
Well, and you know, here's the thing,
to the
like,
point of harassing people, you know, I mean,
that's why people do these fake leaks in part, I think, is to sow chaos and to just make people angry. And a part of the reason people get angry, like it's twofold. I think one is the hive mind mentality, you know, like people, like a person generally is, you know, is rational and thinks, but a group is chaotic and noisy, and that anger, it feeds.
Look at us.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like we're a great example of the hive mind. You know, like we all get worked up and amped up, and we like to have fun. But on a forum,
we're all amped up and want to have fun. That's all
we're trying to do.
But like people spread, there was this conspiracy spread that all of these various like insiders and journalists and outlets were being paid off by Nintendo to pretend that the leak was fake. Again, Andre from Game Explain was openly kind of venting his frustration. Right, because they chose not to talk about something that by all means couldn't be confirmed, and many like real journalists were saying was fake, so they were like, we're not gonna, we didn't talk about anything like this. You know, you'd think a major, like we talked about the Harry Potter game, you know, and it's but yeah,
but that's real, but that's right, something that's tangible, right?
Like, that's much harder to fake.
Can I have a strong opinion that is loosely held, and I want you to tell me if I'm wrong? I kind of like, okay, obviously I don't like the backlash of harassment culture of both journalists, insiders, whatever. Right? That's wrong.
Yeah. People
dehumanize people. That's awful. But I kind of like leak culture because I think it's really fucking fun in 6 months. When
yeah.
Like, it's really fun to be like, Like, it's
Yeah.
really fun to be like, I hope Banjo's in this game, and let's perpetuate this rumor that Banjo's in this game.
This stuff is
And,
really
like,
fun. It's when people
Yeah.
take stuff that's not official or real and they
Yeah.
cling to it, or they
Right,
look
like if
for
you get an
patterns.
emotional stake in it,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I-
You know,
Here's
It's
something
one.
interesting oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No,
No,
Reb, you go ahead.
Reb.
Here's something interesting I've discovered, like, since I started, because I am a game journalist. Like, that's what I do. That's what I do for a living. And I live in a community and in an area where I'm pretty much the only. I mean, there's one other, but like, I'm really the only game journalist around. So I'm pretty much the only one that the majority of my friends and general acquaintances know. And it's really bizarre, like the perception problem. Like, even just setting aside the stupid internet hate mob that can't be reasoned with for
Yeah.
anything. Just like
Yeah.
average people who think about video games writing and the video game industry, like even like a little bit on a day-to-day basis, have a really bizarre perception of gaming news and journalists. And
Yeah.
I found it manifest in
For
like
sure.
two really interesting ways. One of them is I'm on Facebook, and I constantly, like on a weekly basis, have friends and acquaintances share links with me on Facebook that are like from video game leak or rumor like accounts or sites or whatever, and they're like, "Oh my god, is this true? Why did you tell me like this?" And it never fucking is. It's always
Can you believe what Marcus Sellers said?
Yeah. What? No, it's always like some just bizarre thing, and I have to sit here and like play Snopes.com for them and be like, "That's not real," or "That's unfounded," or "I've never heard of that," or "I don't know, look it up." Like, it's very weird that like. Twitter's a little bit different because it's a little more curated, but especially on Facebook and maybe other places, like there's just this constant perpetuation of, I mean, I hate to say it, but like actual literal fake news
yeah.
about
Yeah,
video
yeah,
games.
no.
And those sites get clicks and they get attention and they get sponsored posts on social media sites, and people just like eat it up. Like they don't differentiate
And-
very well between
Well,
actual
and
journalism
I kinda-
and then
I
Facebook
ki-
shit.
Yeah, I actually kind of wanted to say something similar. Like kind of going off of that is how, like, it's really scary and kind of. I'm glad you found that, Zach.
Did you just eat a floor, Eminem?
What is this?
It was a floor M&M. It was
And
like
it
a
was
couple
green
seconds.
one, so
It's
he's in for a
worth it.
good night.
It's worth it.
Well,
But,
Julian, there's your gift right there. There's your gift, Julian. There it is. Get him.
Is how like some of the people that are kind of like the serial leakers, like John mentioned, like Marcus Sellers, and then there's like T-Ducks and stuff. People that have really bad track records of just posting whatever, they seem to be the ones that get no backlash, even though they have proven poor records in spreading this stuff. But people that are like legitimately have first last name, like what they look like, who they work for,
Tom
from
Phillip from
Taco.
Eurogamer.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
people like that are the ones that seem to get a lot of backlash for disproving stuff that's fake or breaking news that people aren't happy about, whereas people that make these fake leaks just to hype people up never seem to have to answer for spreading this false information, and that drives me crazy.
perfect example of that. Let's continue punching on Marcus Sellers because he's a great punching bag for this. Marcus Sellers first burst onto the scene with a fake Namco Bandai press event where they were going to announce several games.
I remember it.
Before Marcus Sellers claimed this was a thing, Marcus had like 200 or 300 followers, no name account. Okay, leaks this big event does not happen, like is provably does not happen. It was a standard, like by the books, like just little press talk thing. There was no announcements. It wasn't a public thing. It was not intended to be anything that doesn't happen several times a year.
Are we talking about Jacob Wall or?
Yeah, right. But after that completely faked event, which is the only thing that Marcus Sellers was known for on the internet at this point, Marcus Sellers bumped up to several thousand followers and became like a big known like fake leaker, and then got to go on and do the same thing, jump onto existing leaks, get advertising partnerships,
Which fucking blows my mind.
get sponsored products, and then then push them without disclosing that he was sponsored. Like, these people actually profit off of the rumor mongering, right? They run their blogs or their YouTube channels. They want ad revenue. They want the sponsored products. They're the ones who more directly benefit from keeping that going versus someone like Imran, who is not making money directly off of rumor mongering, right? Liam has bigger things to do than talk about little goofy leaks. So
I think what frustrates me about that whole situation is just using, Mark as an example. When he leaks something, or when Tidix leaks something, and 9.99999 times out of 10, it's wrong. When it's proven wrong or proven demonstrably false, people outside of people who are like, hey, you shouldn't do that. Most other people say, oh, it's just Marcus being Marcus, leaking those fake rumors again. Oh, Marcus. But when legitimate journalists like Imran or Andre Seegers come out and they say, hey, this is false, don't pay it any credence, I mean, they get fucking death threats. And I don't understand that. I guess I don't understand that dichotomy. People
because
are willing to give.
Nobody wants to have their parade rained on like that. I think the biggest
that's ultimately
people who
what
get
it
back,
is.
Yeah, like people who get the most backlash are people who are like, "Hey, I know you're excited, but that's not a thing," and like suddenly that's what gets you the death.
Because people like
Real
Marcus
shit.
Sellers,
Real ass shit isn't nearly as fun as getting all the characters.
people like Marcus Sellers are selling you fan fiction that makes you excited, and they just, as soon as something's wrong, they just move on to the next exciting fake thing or exciting rumor that was already out there. Versus the real journalists are the ones who are going to sometimes come in with bad news.
Yeah, like if you've got two equally credible leaks, and one of them is the Grinch leak, and the other one it says that Incineroar and Ken are going to be in Smash. Which one are you going to be interested in? I don't know. I
had people telling me
Incineroar is super cute, but
I had so many people telling me like, oh, well, Incineroar isn't in the game. Incineroar, all these real journalists saw him, but he was secretly moved to DLC towards the end of development, and that's why he's not on the banner. Like, you're looking for justification for something that you already want to believe in rather than Occam's razor, right? Like
that's another thing is people seem to think that like PR firms and like people on the development team are coordinating leaks and
doesn't happen.
It does. That's not a thing.
Or that they seed fake information to flush out, and that does not happen.
Not that complicated.
And like I thankfully learned some of this at like when I was pretty young. When I was first like getting onto like online, I got like really into well, there was the whole announcement of the Nintendo Revolution.
Right.
Oh, I remember the Revolution.
Yes. And I don't know if
I feel so young. I don't know what any of that is.
Okay, the Revolution was the code name for the Wii.
Oh, okay.
And so it was the successor to the GameCube. It was the successor to the GameCube.
Right.
So it was announced as being as touted as the Nintendo Revolution. Like it was going to revolutionize gaming. They pitched it early, like with this just like a Metroid teaser. And that was it.
I remember.
Yeah, and so there became just this deluge of fake leaks of people that were giving impressions on like temperature sensitive controlers.
Oh my god,
and,
I remember
like,
that.
Built-in
sensitive controller.
Yeah, built-in like 3D projectors. People thought
these controllers actually emit smell. Like,
people thought that
first you
like
play the game, now you smell the game.
The controller will burn you when you hurt. Like
it's like, oh, you go into like the lava area in this Metroid game, and you're gonna get your hands are gonna be sweating, and then
when
you
that
go
moblin hits you with a spear, little needles will come out of the controller and replicate the pain.
Whoa. Hang on, can we pause for a second? A controller that gets cold when you're in cold environment sounds kind of cool, actually.
I mean, they do make air conditioned control.
I would just if that was actually a thing, I would walk to the top of the spine of the world in Skyrim and just rest the controller on the back of my neck because I've got my neck is always sore.
Okay, so like
when you do that in school, the controller sends your report card to your mom. Like,
so and all this kind of came to a head with something that I will never forget. It was probably it was at the point like far and away the most elaborate hoax I think I've ever seen. Somebody made a whole CG movie for something called the Nintendo On.
Yes,
I don't remember.
And it was It was a VR headset. And this was back in
way before
2004.
VR,
Like this wasn't like now. and it leaked like 2 days before, or like 3 days before Nintendo's E3 conference, and people thought it was this legitimate thing. And it turns out it wasn't. There was interviews with the guy that did it. I mean, the artwork was kind of weird for like Mario and stuff, but like I'm kind of glad I learned some of that stuff at an early age, and like, you know, especially after there was the official reveal and stuff like that.
So I have,
and I think a lot of people haven't had like that kind of moment understanding where you
just
kind of
learn from it.
Yeah, you didn't learn from it.
So
sorry.
we've been talking.
Sorry, I got lost in my story.
No, you're good. I do have a question. So we've been talking about league culture and stuff like that, and you know, specifically, you know, revolving around this, you know, Smash Direct. I'd like to talk about my reaction to the Smash Direct real quick, if you guys don't mind.
Oh yeah, no, because that was great.
Because that was so like. The reason I bring it up is because, you know, we were talking about being disappointed and stuff like that. I won't lie. I was a little disappointed that we're not getting Gino or Isaac as anything other than assist trophies.
Isaac's my boy.
I was really, because see, Reb, here's the thing.
If everyone on the internet who asked for Isaac and Smash Brothers actually bought Golden Sun, those games would have succeeded.
No, that's my thing. I'm a massive Golden Sun fanboy. Golden Sun is one of my favorite RPGs of all time, and so I was like, if Isaac is there. If Isaac is there, that gives me hope that franchise might be revisited.
He's an assist trophy.
He's an assist trophy.
It's something.
But that
it's
means
better than Custom Robo got.
Somebody at Nintendo had to think about Golden Sun for at least 5 minutes.
Yeah.
To get Isaac in that game, and that's more than.
What did Advance Wars get?
Nothing. Advance Wars didn't get shit. But so like, here's the thing, right?
I got Ridley, so I was good since E3.
Yeah, man.
So the reason I thought we might finally get Gino is because you guys know those polls that Nintendo used to do. They're like, hey, what characters do you want to see in Smash? King K. Rool and Ridley were at the top of those fucking lists
all the time,
forever. Like for every list was King K. Rool and Ridley. Then what happens? We get Ridley. I'm like, oh shit. And then we get King K. Rool. I'm like, oh shit. And so coming into this Smash Direct, they were like, we're gonna reveal all the characters, and I was like, this is it. We're getting Gino. He's gonna ride down on a star, and you know he's like Mallow is gonna be his assist trophy, and it's gonna be fucking great. And I had all this. It was all sunshine and rainbows in my head.
John, we did get a Mario character.
Yeah, we got Petey Piranha, dude.
Not even Petey Piranha. We got just a plant. We got a Piranha plant and a fucking.
I am so excited for a Piranha plant being playable.
Unironically, I love it.
So wonderfully stupid.
Waluigi, no. Piranha Plant, yes.
Waluigi's gonna be the last DLC character. Mark my words.
Did you guys notice? By the way, did you guys know? By the way, Reb, that's actually I could see Nintendo trolling with some shit like that. Like, finally, here he is. You asked for him for years. Here he is at the end of the game's life cycle. You can have fucking Luigi. Wah! Here he is. Like you guys can take him.
Yeah.
They're gonna he's yours. It's gonna be the last DLC character, and it's gonna be the trolliest ass shit. They've been really good on all these reveal videos. Like they've all been really funny and self-aware, and Sakurai's just sitting there, and you could just barely see the corners of his mouth lifting up in this tiny little smile, like
he knows what's coming.
Fuckers.
So did you guys notice that Piranha Plant has feet?
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, he has tiny little feet that come out of the bottom of the thing. It's
There's
amazing.
no actual dirt in his pot. How does he live?
It's like a reverse skirt. Okay, it's fine. It's for modesty purposes.
Can we talk about how Kirby is the best Nintendo character?
Kirby is apparently
World of Light
debut, Reb.
Yeah.
Kirby.
World of Light is the real takeaway.
Insult my son.
World of Light is the real takeaway from that Smash Direct.
That
the adventure mode.
I mean, I just thought it was funny because I was like jokingly like, oh, who they gonna kill off in this Smash Direct?
Everyone.
Straight up everyone.
That was the most self-aware shit Nintendo has done in a long time, because they knew everybody's like, wow, they killed off Mega Man and Mario and Luigi. And at this point, you know, Sakurai was like, fuck it. Kill.
What happens next? Nintendo Thanos, but double as good.
So here's the thing. Who else here thought, for a split second, who else here thought that winged thing was Sephiroth?
No.
Nah.
What's the
I thought that was going to be...
I mean, it looks like one of the subspaces.
You managed to insert Final Fantasy into this podcast.
Because he does.
We got
Taboo
so
and
far.
Brawl.
We've
what I
been
do.
we've been at this for 54 minutes. We got so far. Final Fantasy was not on the agenda. How
That's
the
my
fuck
talent.
did you do this?
Have I told you guys
Every week.
She's upset. You did
No,
it.
no, no,
Jen.
no. I got
Every
opinions about
fucking
Final
week.
Fantasy 15 I want to talk about. Can we talk about Final Fantasy 15?
No,
John, you
what the
fucked
No!
up. You
John,
fucked
no,
up, John.
no. There's
It's the
another
second
year of
best-
DLC.
You fucked
Talk
up.
about it then.
It's the second best Final Fantasy in the whole series.
No.
Taboo and Brawl already completely aped the one-winged angel nonsense. Like, so Smash original villains, that's just the kind of stuff I expect from them.
In all seriousness, though, like, I guess the World of Light is how we're going to get our character unlocks.
That or like
it
the
looks-
traditional play X number of matches and then beat them, I'm sure.
I kind of got so this is my confusion. I wanted to see what you guys thought, right? Like I got the impression that we're going to go through and unlock characters one by one in the World of Light. And it looks like starting off with Kirby. Maybe that's just the character they picked. I don't know. But I know
Starting with Kirby, John.
Reb, I'm happy to. Kirby's my boy. I maintain that Planet Robobot is the best 3DS game and the best Kirby game.
It's
But
very
Crystal
good.
Chronicles, what the fuck?
Crystal Chronicles, what?
Chris
Is that
Chronicles
not-
is on 3DS.
That
What's
was only
this-
on
what about-
original DS.
No, he said the best Kirby game. It's Nintendo 64. Am I
No, that's
insane?
Crystal
correct.
Chronicles
No.
is a Final Fantasy game.
He
God
means
damn it.
He means crystal shards. He means
What the
crystal
hell?
shards.
It all comes back to Final
shards.
Fantasy.
Everything is
Kirby
Final
Fantasy,
Fantasy.
Crystal Chronicles.
Zach is a fake gamer. Fake
It's a
gamer.
crossover,
Fake
right?
gamer.
Yeah, I was real confused for a second there.
I apologize.
No,
Crystal
but in
Shards.
all seriousness, Crystal
Kirby
Shards.
Crystal Chronicles. Jeez.
Because I thought Zach was responding to something in chat. He was like Crystal Chronicles.
No, I
Like,
don't. Listen, I'm eating candy.
I was a
There's
bigger
no
fan
chance
of Kirby Revenant Wings.
I think something was wrong with that. Something was wrong with that floor M&M that Zach ate. Some kind of
It's a
floor
green
cleaning
one, man. All
chemical.
his blood went.
Zach was
done.
like, look, I mopped the floor and there must be some pine sol residue on here. It's got me all fucked
Made
up.
it taste woody.
Bleach M&M.
But, no, in all
Listen.
seriousness, I was kind of hoping that there would be more characters available to start with at the beginning, because that is there's what, 76 characters when all is said and done. That's a lot of fucking characters to
76?
unlock.
Are you fucking kidding me?
74. if you-
74. I'm
In-
sorry.
including all of
That's
the
so much
including
better.
the Echo Fighters, right?
Yeah.
I love how Reb is like, I love how Reb is like, John, slow your roll. 74 characters.
So-
You're up by 2.
74 characters.
So I've been maintaining this facade of keeping track of Smash Ultimate. I haven't. I was thinking we were on like 45. So
No.
Oh no,
No,
74.
no,
People are
there's a
very
few
upset.
There's a few characters in Smash.
just
But
a
it's
couple.
not.
Every-
Nintendo didn't even try this time.
Yeah.
This is just
No,
a
they just said,
guess,
"Fuck it."
Zach, but I'm pretty sure we were at like 45 when they said this is all the characters that we've ever had before, and we're putting them all in Smash.
Yeah.
That's not.
Okay.
I think it was over 50 at that point. Like
Yeah.
I think at E3.
I think
It
we
was-
hit like 55 or so by the
Yeah.
end of the Wii U. It's been a while. I'm not
Yeah.
counting them for fun. So
I'll tell you right now, characters that I like, characters that not that I was dreaming about, but characters I totally expected
Aw.
to see, and I always dream. Zach, I'm always dreaming about you.
Thank you.
But no, the characters that I expected to see as opposed to characters I wanted to see, I was convinced, and I'm still convinced he'll be DLC of some kind, or maybe he won't be. But Rex from Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I was convinced we were going to see Rex because that
Good
game
shot.
sold 1.5 million copies, and Shulk is a very popular character in the competitive scene in Smash, and I was pretty sure we were going to see a Rex with a Pyra assist trophy, Pyra Mithra, and we didn't get it. We got, was it a Mii costume for
Yeah.
Rex? I love how
But
Zach,
they
I love how they were
also-
like, you're gonna feel just like you're playing as Rex, and I was like, not really,
Yeah.
but maybe not. I also expected us. I'm gonna Reb. Honestly, I expected to see Waluigi. Like I thought this was gonna be the moment where Sakurai was
No.
gonna drop Waluigi. Like I really did.
He's gonna be the
I mean,
hero.
Waluigi's been a joke for a long time, but the Waluigi in Smash
Fucking
joke
dunk.
is, like fairly recent. They gotta take time. They're gonna take their time.
Yeah.
Think so?
They're gonna make
Waluigi fans don't actually want Waluigi in Smash because
Oh, they
if
fucking do.
no,
Oh,
because
they
if he gets in
absolutely
Smash,
do.
they
No,
won't.
no,
They
no,
won't be
no,
able to
no.
complain that he's not in Smash.
No,
Waluigi is like Millhouse. Okay, Waluigi is only loved because he never wins. Like,
He'll find a
No.
reason to complain. He'll either be like the worst tier in competitive, and that'll be the joke, or he'll be the best, and that'll be the joke.
when
they should make Waluigi like, what is it, Dan from Street Fighter?
Yeah, they should make him Dan. That's great. No, that's actually a really good idea. I guarantee you though, when he's announced, like Era is going to fucking shut down. Like it's gonna die.
I
That's what it's
can't
gonna
believe
take.
I can't believe
Whoop.
Smash characters
lost
are
Zach.
such a hyped
Yeah.
announcement.
There we
Like,
go.
There he is. Zach's back. Zach's
Like
back.
it blows my fucking mind that Smash is as big of a deal in 2018 as it is. Like, right?
I mean, it's a very fun game. There's a lot of content, and like it appeals to nostalgia and stuff. Like it, like I think Smash kind of is.
Don't anymore.
Zach, no,
It's a big
stop,
floor.
stop.
Zach
They're
left
all
for a
better
minute
than
to
Zach.
bleach his remaining M&Ms.
More bullshit video games.
Like Smash, like because I went through the whole huge hype cycle with Smash Brothers Brawl. I kind of got it out of my system, I think, with Brawl, but like it was my freshman year in college, and I would stay up every night to see the daily dojo updates as
Japan
they
time, man. Yeah.
as they came up and everything. So like Smash like hype cycles are different than other games because it's kind of a celebration of gaming in general, more so than just anticipating a single title. So like I definitely get that.
It's also a very
thing.
rare game that is both extremely like playable and popular, like casual with kids, with like older people, right? Like it's a great like college dudes getting together, get some drinks, play some Smash Bros, right?
College,
Like,
hey, college dudes. Everyone can play.
sorry, I'm relating to my
Don't
experiences.
gatekeep. Don't
You are
gatekeep.
100% correct. I am relating to my experiences. I had
Thank you.
very few female friends when I was in high school and college. Okay.
Checks
Zach,
out.
thank you for correcting this barbarian.
Yeah. Can I ask a serious question? Well,
Yeah.
maybe it's not a serious
But I was
question.
going to say also, and then competitive side, like very few competitive fighters also have that casual element in them. So you get both elements there. I'm finished.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank
you.
you.
are.
Okay.
Listen, my question is this. Why is Waluigi out, but Wario is in?
Because Wario's better.
Wario's
Wario
better
is-
Wario's
You're
an
gonna
actual
ask a
character
serious
with
question,
a
Zach.
legacy.
Wario is a fart. He's a literal
No.
fart.
Bye, Derek.
No, so okay, so Zach,
Derek?
He's a fart. He's a fart.
I got this.
Derek is
I got
gone.
this. Derek's gone. I've got this. I can handle this. Justin, I got this. Check it out. You're gonna love this.
But
I'm gonna hate it.
No. Wario is the Venom of the Mario universe. He's a cool character. Hold on.
Wait,
What the
wait,
hell?
no, John.
Waluigi is Carnage.
Okay,
A shitty character.
No, put it on.
no, put that shit on. Put
Put it
that
on.
shit on right now.
I'm not putting it on. It's already hot in here under these studio lights.
Derek, put
Oh,
that
wait.
fucking shit on right now.
Cut that out. You're gonna put it on.
Put
Just
that
the
fucking
back
shit on
seat.
right now. Put
You
it
don't
on,
get to
Derek.
You don't get to tease that and not follow through.
I can't fucking believe he did that. Get it on. Get all the way on. All the way on. All the way on.
Why
Yes.
are we not? Where's the
No, there was more to that costume than just the fat suit. There was more to that costume.
Don't you fucking hold on to me.
About this,
He
but
only
hold on,
put
yeah.
he only put on the upsetting part.
You fucking hold on us.
So hot in here, guys.
Derek, God damn you. God damn you,
Derek,
Derek.
okay, wait, Derek.
You know what we gotta
fine.
do? You know what we've gotta
Derek,
do?
You gotta make a promise. When that game comes out, you stream for 2 hours in that outfit. And you don't take it off.
I just want to hear what we gotta do.
We have
for
to
a man
talk
who just
about-
threw away a perfectly good opportunity to cosplay as Wario.
We have to talk about the rune thing, right?
You can't even
RuneScape?
talk. You can't even
One
talk.
one second. I do. No.
RuneScape,
Hold on one
right?
second.
RuneScape.
No, you
RuneScape.
can't. No. You're not deflecting
drive.
this.
Rune.
You're not deflecting this,
No,
Derek.
I'm not.
That
I'm
was the
not
biggest
deflecting.
tease this podcast has ever seen.
Rune. What is it called?
RuneScape.
It doesn't matter. RuneScape.
Yeah,
It
RuneScape.
doesn't matter.
It's the
Rev
it's the
wanted to talk
web
about
browser.
RuneScape. Guys, y'all only have half an
Deltarune.
hour left. We got to get moved on to Deltarune.
No,
Yeah.
I mean,
no.
The biggest
This podcast-
announcement. The biggest
doesn't
announcement of the Smash Direct was that I bought a Switch during it.
You did buy a Switch.
It was actually a coincidence that it was during the, but that was the biggest news of the Direct. So
This is all deflecting from the fact that is that Toriel? Is that
Yeah.
a Toriel?
It is. It's amazing.
This
Go
is all.
on.
It is amazing. You know what else is amazing? The
Yeah.
shit you just pulled on this fucking podcast. You are a disgrace.
You know what, man? Maybe y'all need to move on to talking about Deltarune, John.
Do we need to? All right. Okay.
Look,
it's time to talk about Deltarune.
This is the hint, right?
It's time. I don't even. Okay, let's talk about Deltarune.
Go away,
Dropping the hint.
Derek,
Go away, Derek.
All right.
Derek doesn't want this spoiled, so he's gonna mute us all
And put on the costume.
and just make silly faces.
Go put
I'll
on
be
the
right
costume.
back.
Yeah,
Put on
go
the
get
costume.
changed.
Put the
Go get
costume
changed.
on.
So
Go
We'll see
change
you
your
in 10
shit.
minutes.
I'll be back, guys.
Rev, if you can go
Rev,
as
please.
spoiler light as you can, please talk to us about Deltarune, but also its greater context as a game.
Yeah, so I will try. I realize people listening like Undertale, people who like Undertale, and people who like this kind of stuff. Pretty much anything could be considered spoilers, like even knowing what it is. So I won't reveal like the plot or any like major spoilers or anything, but just know if you consider literally any information about this game to be spoilers, you're going to be spoiled. So maybe go away with Derek and put on a Wario costume or something.
Oh no, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, so Undertale came out several years ago, and Toby Fox, the creator, has teased a lot of different things ever since. You know, people have known he's been working on something, weren't really sure what. Well, a couple days ago, he changed his Twitter, the official Undertale Twitter account, to all this kind of creepy, like blanked out stuff, and started tweeting like one of the hidden characters that everybody has speculated about in Undertale. A lot of people suspected he was tweeting as this character called Gaster or whatever. He started teasing something in 24 hours, and then 24 hours later, he dropped this website called Deltarune.com that had a download on it. And it was a free download. No one really knew what it was. All of our Windows virus protection things started yelling at us to like, this might not be a safe file.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was
Yeah.
like, whoa.
Yeah, so I mean, it was a little weird. And when you downloaded it, it was disguised as, it said like a survey program. And so when we all opened it up, we all just kind of assumed it was going to be like a 5-minute survey, like I mean, like in typical Toby Fox style, like assuming it was going to be kind of a weird thing that was going to help inform the next game, or maybe a teaser for like Undertale 2. We didn't really know. It turned out to be a whole ass game. It's called Deltarune. It's about an hour if you book it through. It's about 3 hours if you explore everything and do the extra stuff. It is not. It's a whole ass game, but it's chapter 1 of a whole ass game. You play through. There's a very weird intro that I mean, it's literally like 5 seconds in, but I won't spoil it if you haven't played it yet. There's a very bizarre intro, and then you play as this character named Chris, and Chris has a very striking resemblance to other characters we've encountered before in the Undertale universe. And Chris is a human who seems to exist in a world that is very much like the world of Undertale. There are many familiar characters you'll run into, though they have some interesting differences if you're familiar with the Undertale universe. So it's very difficult to pin down if this is a sequel, a prequel. A lot of people are suspecting it might be an alternate reality. We just don't know. And Chris goes on a little adventure that has a lot of nods and a lot of ways to Undertale, but is also very, very different. It's hard to say, but I mean, a couple things. It seems that Toby Fox is rightfully aware that the majority of the audience playing this has played Undertale before and is going to come into this with very specific expectations, like the fight and spare system in Undertale, the idea that, you know, you don't want to kill anybody or that your choices matter and things like that. And he does a lot of things to play with the player expectations on that. And I don't want to say too much, but it's a very interesting little adventure, and it ends on a very terrifying cliffhanger. And people don't really know what it means, but we know it's chapter 1. There are a couple characters at the very end who say, oh, well, you'll have to come back tomorrow. And so some people were thinking that we were actually going to open it up tomorrow and find chapter 2, but that wasn't the case. We think it's just tomorrow in the game.
Can I ask like a broad question that's not necessarily like, if you can keep it as far away from spoilers as possible, that'd be great for people watching. I have not played Undertale. I haven't played this. Can you give me like 3 to 5 words about like thematic kind of vibes that these games are about? Is that really hard, or is that really easy?
It's easier for Undertale. I'd say Undertale is about choice and friendship, and growing up. And also it's kind of a parody of RPGs and bullet hells. This one, I don't know what it's about yet. It's very
I guess it's just chapter 1.
Yeah, well, like it so far seems like I don't even know how to. Hello, Derek.
Is he in his outfit?
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you
Why
still
the fuck
muted?
did you not open the podcast with that?
Are you still? I'm almost done. Take those off. Okay.
just sit there and look
Sit
pretty.
there and
Gary.
look glorious. Just sit there and look glorious.
The only reason we have him on the podcast at all.
Yeah. So we don't know when the next
Jesus.
chapter is going to be out.
Right.
We don't really know what's going on. I do recommend if you're interested in this but haven't played Undertale, do play Undertale first. It really loses it. Like Deltarune doesn't make any sense as it is, and it makes absolutely no fucking sense if you've never played Undertale. It seems to have a lot of Undertale's charm and a lot of its humor, and it very, very much plays on your expectations and understanding of Undertale. But it's also free, which is really exciting. Like
PC only right now, right?
Huh?
Is it PC only right now?
Oh, PC. Sorry. Yeah. It's just you download it. It's not even through Steam. You just download it in your browser. But yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It's very, very interesting.
It'd be
Awesome.
interesting to see whether or not this is a teaser for a sequel or a prequel or an actual no shit sequel.
No, yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's gonna be a whole game. I think he intends to release it like episodically. We have no idea when the next one's gonna be. The other thing that I did learn, because now that I've gone through the whole chapter 1, is I've been like poking around Reddit and just being total Undertale trash. But the other thing that we learned is Toby Fox has had this in the works for a really long ass time. Like he was planning this as early as 2012, which is before Undertale was even out. So I don't anticipate this is something he's like trying to develop on the fly and just releasing episodes as he gets them done. This isn't like Five Nights at Freddy's kind of thing. I think he has this done.
I've got one question for you, Reb, and then we'll get Derek back in here. As somebody who is a huge fan of Undertale, as you are, is this so this is episodic, right? Is this what you wanted? Are you happy with the episodic format, or are you just part of you say like, I wish I just had the whole thing right now so I could just devour it at once?
I think Toby Fox is very smart. I think he understands that his audience loves to sit around and speculate and come up with fan theories. So I think it was very smart for him. I mean, I get to do that too. I like it. I get to kind of take it in bits. It means that what the hell? Oh, that's a dog.
Fucking wholesome lad right there.
Oh, that looked really weird for a second. I didn't know what that was.
Yeah, I didn't know what he was doing either. I was like, what
It
is
looked like
happening?
he was pulling like a body out
dog.
of the closet. I didn't really understand. Oh.
That's wholesome as fuck right there.
No,
That's the
it's
content.
not at all what I expected. I didn't want a sequel to Undertale. I think whatever the hell this is, it's going to be interesting. I expected Toby Fox to do something completely unexpected, and he did, and I'm happy about that. I'm just happy that he's making a game and that it seems to have some ties to a game that I loved very, very much and that affected me very deeply.
Everybody's reactions to it on Twitter were just wholesome as fuck. And in this era of depressing shit, it's exactly what I needed to see. Even as somebody who doesn't love the game, it was just refreshing to see.
Also, there's a new fluffy boy, and I love him.
I really need to actually play Undertale. I own it. I've actually bought it twice. First time I tried to play it on PC, but I get really bad wrist cramps when I play games on a keyboard. So the bullet hell stuff didn't work for me. So I do have it on PS4. I really should go through it sometime soon.
All right, let's get Derek. Derek, come back. Come back. No, leave the hat on. Oh man.
Great. No, he's putting it back on.
There he is.
There it is. Good, buddy.
I'll tell you what. So here's the deal. We're gonna make Derek. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
He's still muted.
No.
Okay.
Oh,
So
yeah,
as soon as he
I am.
gets back on, I'm making a deal with everybody on the podcast right now.
Yeah.
And everybody watching. Are you Derek? Are you there?
I am here.
Okay. So we're gonna make.
There's a lot of me that's here too. So
we're gonna make a bargain right now. Okay. If you wear that for the whole podcast next week, overnight myself a Waluigi costume.
Yeah.
And I will fucking join you.
I'm in.
I will join you. I will do this. Okay. I will fucking
love
I will order my Waluigi costume tomorrow.
I am in.
I'm all over it. Let's do it.
So here's my theory, guys. I think John already owns the purple overalls, and he's just looking for justification to wear them on the show.
I mean,
it's just an excuse to say, "Oh yeah, I overnighted them. I did not have
either confirm
at the ready."
I will neither confirm nor deny anything.
Sean, why does your Waluigi costume come with a ball gag?
Bad.
Derek, it's so bad. It's so bad. So anyway,
that's all I got.
That's the mental picture. I'm trying to work my way past what's happening in my head and my heart right now. And it's just none of it's good. None of it's good.
In your heart?
Yeah, like I just nothing good in my just darkness and sadness in my heart, Zach.
Okay.
Nothing good.
Speaking
did we have
of
any more-
darkness and sadness, John, you said you wanted to talk about Red Dead Redemption 2.
I thought he was going to talk about The Quiet Man.
So
He's
so
not-
so okay, so a couple things, right? A couple things. So we'll talk about Red Dead Redemption 2 real quick. So guys, I realized something the other day about Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm not into it.
I kind of got the impression.
It's lost me. It's lost me, and I'll tell you why. And I'm not gonna get into spoilers here, but so I don't like Grand Theft Auto games, right? I just don't like them because I can't relate to.
Well,
any
why
of the
would you like
protagonists.
Grand Theft Auto with horses?
So because
It's less efficient than Grand Theft Auto.
Really realistic.
So
It's true.
so
See,
they
I
are
also
they are
I also cannot stand Grand Theft Auto, but I like Red Dead quite a bit.
So the reason I like the reason Red Dead Redemption, like the original game, resonated with me so much is that John Marston is a character that I related to. He'd made a lot of mistakes in his life, and he had turned over a new leaf. He was trying to be good. Take the look at John Marston and a character like Nico Bellic from Grand Theft Auto 4. Like Nico is all about, I'm going to help my family, and I just want a better life for myself. But then you can go get a prostitute and drive behind, a fast food restaurant, beat the shit out of her, they take the money and roll off, right? And then the very next quest, Nico's like, I just want to be better for myself and my family, and I'm like, that just fucking takes me right out of it. John Marston as a character, you walk into a brothel and some woman approaches him, and he's like, sorry, but I'm a married man. And just like that's something that I can relate to. Like John Marston.
Is that something you can relate to, John? Rolling up on a brothel and saying, "I'm a married man."
No, not rolling into a brothel. Just talking. You know what I mean. John Marston was a moral character, and he was flawed, but he had morals. There is this weird disconnect between what the storyline quests require of you as Arthur Morgan, and then that depiction of him in other situations that just I can't reconcile with it. And not only that, but like it has all that old Rockstar jank. Like it controls like crap.
Yeah,
like it doesn't.
Yeah,
it
Go ahead.
controls terribly.
Yeah, the controls are not good.
Who was it that said, how did y'all give 10 out of 10 to a game where you have to mash the button to run?
Yeah,
and then everyone comes back like, oh, it's okay, you can change it in a menu. And it's like, how about you make the good controls the default rather than make people adjust things?
Also,
why is it an option?
Their standard FPS control layout is not standard at all.
Well,
it's better.
To be fair, everyone there has been doing 80-hour weeks. They haven't played a shooter since 2004.
True. Okay.
So a couple things. One, absolutely right. The controls are very bad, and I think a lot of that comes down to the idea of like this game. Arthur Morgan, like a lot of the characters in Grand Theft Auto, is supposed to be whatever the player wants him to be in terms of gameplay, right? Like, you can be the outdoorsman who just wants to fish and hunt, outdoors person who just wants to fish and hunt. You can go and be the lawman, you can go and be the bandit, and like, but the game's controls on a gamepad have to service each of those different things, and that means you're going to be pressing L1 and R1 at the same time to pull out your guns or whatever. Like, there are so many button combinations that it often feels like a burden to play. And that's true, but I will push back on I would say Arthur Morgan is far and away better than John Marston. I think John Marston is a blank slate through which the players must project. Now, you're talking about keeping it brief. Arthur Morgan acts like a straw man who beats the shit out of poor immigrants, and that's awful. And it feels really bad when you're in the moment. But like one of the key mechanics of the game is Arthur Morgan is a man who, in a stereotypical bullshit way, does not talk about how he feels. And every in-game day, he writes something new in his journal. And in his journal, he's like, I don't like hurting people who are on the down and out, and how he feels really gross doing those jobs. And like that,
and like also
he's like,
also there's also times where, and like this is not, what I'm about to say is just an optional conversation thing.
Yeah, everything
like
I'm about to think is side stuff. Yeah.
Sometimes people have come up to me like in the camp and been like, oh, hey Arthur, how are you doing? And you can choose whether to talk to him or not. And I did. And there was one point where, Arthur like just, sat down on a stump and like he just starts talking normally. And then like he kind of is like, I've been killing animals and people just because I felt like it. I'm just been angry. I don't know why I'm doing these things. Like
I'm so angry. I'm gonna go kill something.
it's like it's weird, and it feels almost like a meta comment stars like Grand Theft Auto games and stuff, to me in a way, which I've really, really liked.
So Derek, I actually those are based on your gameplay choices too, I think, because one of mine he just said I've been killing innocent people, and the next time I had been doing a quest where I had to travel really far, and the game's cinematic camera. If you haven't been on Twitter, you might not have noticed this. The cinematic camera takes creative angles but takes the controls out of your hands, and things in the world will still happen. So I was playing and a small rabbit came across the road and I trampled it with my horse in this really grotesque, weird way. In the next follow-up meeting where I'm talking with someone at the camp, I was like, I've been killing an animal and not even doing anything about it. Like he's like, yeah, I've just been killing for fun. Like, and he's talking about animals, and like it feels like it's based on the decisions or the things you're doing in the game. See, I would encourage you to push on, John, but I won't. I will say that, like,
so here's the thing. Like, I'm gonna step back from it for a while and take a break because there are other things coming out that I want to play.
That's fair.
I'm going to revisit it because I do think that, because again, like I'm at the very end of chapter 2.
Oh yeah.
So there, I understand that there's more, and I understand that it's a game that has a great story. So I'm going to go back and finish it. I mean, I'm not going to just drop it, but what I am going to do.
To get to the part where the horses start spontaneously combusting.
So Rev, I was going to say, did you guys see the video that the guy posted on Twitter where like he came up on this horse and was just dead in the road on fire?
There is a specific road in the game that is off of, there's a town in the game. This is not a spoiler. It's a random bug or glitch in the game. There's a road off of a town called Rhodes, Rhodes, where if there are horses that are NPCs on it ride by, they will tip over and burst into flames.
Yeah,
just no reason.
That's some Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl shit.
And they will
there was
make
like the one where it was on fire, and then there was the other one on Reddit where there was just like a horse in, I guess, a horse T pose, like hovering over the and he walks up to it. Well, it was like on all fours, but his tail was like sticking out the back, like straight out. And he rides up to it and like kind of tries to dismount to see what's going on. But as he dismounts, he like falls through the horse and like takes damage, and then everything just fire. It was incredible.
I had this moment the other day.
I have not seen any of this.
I had this moment the other day where I was walking up my horse and I was like, all right, I'm going to brush my horse. And I accidentally punched him in the face.
It's been a thing. Yeah.
And he immediately
Clock that horse.
Immediately he like whipped around with the speed
for talking
like,
shit.
No, dude, seriously. I punched him and I yelled so loud that my wife heard me. I was like, ah, because he turned around with the speed of the ninja and kicked me. And then just sped off. And I yelled, like it startled me so bad. So like then I was like, okay, all right, I'm calmed down. Like that was scary, right? So then I get on my horse and I ride into town, and I'm just at a trot, just trotting along. And this townsperson stumbles out of the bar drunk, slams into my horse, says, "Hi, he tried to kill me." And then the lawman come out and shoot me dead. And I was like, perfect. Just like yes, real life. Absolutely. That's the Wild West immersion I need right there.
Exactly how it went.
Okay. Here's something that I really like about the game. And like I think you've got some good complaints, but I think there's some things. There's a lot of hidden controls in this game where like if somebody is accusing you of like if he complains to a cop, like there are button combinations where you can look at a cop and press like I guess it would be square on PlayStation, and you can try to explain to the cop what you're like, no, it's not what it looks like, and the cop has an opportunity to believe you, which is like actually an interesting mechanic. But the bigger thing that I like about this game, and it's kind of controversial, is that I love this game's, it channels some Nintendogs bullshit in the way you can treat your animals, and the way every interaction with animals feels incredibly good. One thing that I love to do is when you get home after a day of doing missions, there's a lot of chores for you to do around camp to help people out, and that actually makes everyone happier around camp. There's less bickering, but there's a thing where you can brush your horse and you can physically see the dirt coming off of it, and it's like this really cathartic, stupid little thing, but it feels like really, really sweet and wholesome. Yeah. It's really
now there's a lot of like, and yeah, I totally agree with Zach on that, and like because I'll also say that my first few hours with the game, I did not enjoy very much. I was kind of overwhelmed by the by the controls and really strange. Like I'm fine with slow pace, but it was strange pacing and stuff at the beginning. Now that I've gotten more into it, like the amount of role playing that is in Red Dead Redemption 2 is really, really fascinating. And and in some ways, it reminds me of how I was kind of hoping like something like a BioWare game would evolve. It's like, because there was one point where, you know, I was just writing, and again, this is just a random interaction out in the world. This is not a story thing. A guy had gotten bit by a snake. I you know, so I went up to him, I talked to him, and I gave him medicine for it. You know, he bandages up his leg and leaves. And then a couple days later, I was going through the town, just on my horse. I was just passing through, and all of a sudden, I hear somebody yelling to my left that's sitting on his bench. He's like, that's saying to his friend, he's like, that's it. That's the guy. That's the guy. I got bit and he saved me. This is the guy that saved me. He was the one I was telling you about. And it's funny because his friend like is like, yeah, all right, whatever. And like, but this guy was amped to see me.
His friend's like, he should have let you die.
Yeah, like there are these
like,
these little moments that fucking work, right?
And like, and keep in mind, this was all like uniquely voiced. And like, I mean, there's so much work that went into some of this stuff. Like, then he calls me over and I talk to him and he's like, hey, you can get anything from the gunsmith that you want. Put it on my tab. So I walk into the gunsmith and he's like, oh yeah, that one guy came by earlier. He's good. He's like, I know he doesn't seem like it, but he's good for it. Whatever you want, yours. Like, it was really, really neat.
See,
I just
go ahead.
No, Zach, please, Zach.
I was just gonna say I had a similar interaction. So what Justin's talking about, again, these are all dynamic. This is not a spoiler. It's also that happens on the side of the road. I had a similar thing. A guy was bit by a snake, but he said, "Can you help me out?" And one of the options was give him medicine, but my other option was suck out the venom. And I was like, yeah,
that was the other option. I didn't do that.
And so Arthur gets down on his hands and knees, and you hear like a sucking sound, and he sits up. And he goes, it's best we don't tell anybody about this. And they both ride in separate directions. And I never heard from him again, so I don't know if maybe I haven't stumbled on him, or maybe like the part of the deal is like he will not call me out in public. But yeah,
that's the guy that sucked it. Never mind.
Yeah, but like I mean, the story stuff, especially later on in the game, picks up. But a lot of when this game works for me are these really, really micro level, dynamic events. Kind of almost stuff that Breath of the Wild succeeded at too, where you stumble across the guy at the stables, I guess was what they were called in Breath of the Wild, the stables. But like the guy who's like always the traveling merchant, right? Like there's like these really, really
Beetle?
Yeah, Beetle. Like they're like these really small things, like these small interactions, just really end up having a big, almost a bigger impact than big narrative events. It's
yeah,
of course,
I completely agree with. That's sorry, John. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say Beetle. Of course, Beetle's interactions with Link were limited to and stuff like that. So, yeah,
like I'm only on. Oh, sorry, Reb, I didn't hear you. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You were talking.
I'm only on chapter 3 of the game, and I don't think I'm very far in chapter 3. Like chapter 1 took me roughly 2 hours to get through. Chapter 2, I spent over 20 hours in.
It's a long game.
It's a big game, and thankfully the pacing of the narrative isn't like pushing you forward. It kind of lets you be free. I might actually write a bit more about this, but I love how much negative space there is in the world, especially having just come off of playing Shadow of the Tomb Raider, where there would be rooms I would discover in that, and that room existed because they needed a place to put these 5 collectibles in. I shit you not, there would be 5 separate types of collectibles in just this one room. And Red Dead Redemption 2, like, there's a lot of times where you don't see anybody. You're just riding through the wilderness on your horse. And, like, I could see that being boring for people. But, like, for me, it's kind of refreshing because when you do run into, like, you know, a guy at the side of the road that needs help, it makes them feel like bigger events, not just part of on your checklist. And it's really neat.
Yeah. Reb, you've been, Reb, what do you got?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't played Red Dead Redemption.
Just tell me, like, what are your feelings right now? Tell us about your feelings around Red Dead.
I like horses.
I haven't played, and I have not played this. I have not played this. I didn't play the first Red Dead, so this is probably just going to be like me bullshitting like a lot.
That's most of this podcast.
Go for it.
Yeah,
that's what we do.
Fake it till you make it.
I am very much less interested in picking up massive open world games like this.
Sure.
I feel like
fair.
I feel like they're all very. I mean, it sounds like this game is doing some really cool stuff. Kind of on some levels, like I think the story that you just told about the snake was really interesting. I feel like a lot of big open world games are the same. And they haven't, aside from improved graphics and certain like kinds of improved interactions, like they haven't really jumped in any seriously dramatic way. And they're huge time sucks. I mean, holy shit, I do not have 40, 50, 60 hours multiple times a year to play all the big open world games that come out. I played Breath of the Wild and it caught my heart. Like it's one of the best games I've ever played. I love
it's in my top 5 of all.
I feel like it did make like several leaps in certain ways. And since I played Breath of the Wild and loved it, I feel like I'm good for another several years on big open world games. I'm playing a lot of smaller, shorter games now that are like weird or quirky, or I'm playing Deltarune, I'm playing Opus Magnum right now. But Red Dead looks nice. I love that people are loving it. It hasn't caught me.
Yeah. Well,
not the horse balls.
Not even, and if that doesn't sell you on it, so I would say that there have been. I think I think you're largely correct. I think most games are like, hey, the Assassin's Creed model, but really, really polished, and like that's what most open world games are now. Like it's the same reason. So I tell this story a lot, and I've probably said it on here before, so people are probably sick of it. But I got Horizon Zero Dawn, and like 3 or 5 days later, Breath of the Wild came out, and I dropped Horizon Zero Dawn and have not picked it up since, because Breath of the Wild was such a shakeup of how open world games play that I could not go back to Horizon Zero Dawn, which is a good game, but it's like an Ubisoft model open world thing, and it's hard after Breath of the Wild. But I would say Breath of the Wild, combat aside, Witcher 3 and Red Dead Redemption 2 are the 3 open world games this generation that have really pushed it. But yeah, I think you're largely right. Like a lot of it is like, here's a big open canvas and we haven't really filled it out. And it's the same thing from the Xbox 360 era, but prettier.
I'm very much looking forward to when games figure out, because I think one of the many things I liked about Breath of the Wild is how many things there were to do that did not involve killing things.
That's actually
I'm not openly adverse to killing things. I mean, I play video games, like it's fine. But weirdly, ever since I played Undertale, I tend to be a little more thoughtful about the reasons why my character is doing it. And so I am very, very interested to see if and when we can come up with a big ass open world game that has meaningful things to do that are largely not killing things. I'm just
That's actually one thing I've been surprised about with Red Dead. Like, obviously there is, plenty of shootouts and stuff, but like Zach was saying, there's these little chores and interactions you can do with, the people that you're with. There's a lot of just kind of sitting around and talking with like the people that are in your crew. I've always loved that stuff. And there is a ton of like dialogue and stuff like that. There's a lot of, and like even with random NPCs, like there's some that are kind of recurring, like they're kind of people around town that will come up and talk to you and stuff. I have gone hours of playing and like even doing missions and stuff, not just riding around, without getting into a gunfight in Red Dead. And like when you get into a gunfight, a lot of times it's because things went wrong. It wasn't like, okay, now here's the, like, I was just following the waypoint till I got here, and now here's the gameplay, which is this gunfight.
And like that's the okay. We should stop talking about Red Dead because people are probably sick of it because everyone's talking about Red Dead for.
Well, we're bumping up against our time here.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I'm sorry. No, I hope I didn't cut off anything Reb wanted to say.
No, I don't think so. I just wanted to get some housekeeping in before we.
Yeah, let's do housekeeping. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah,
it's easy to get caught off with Red Dead.
No.
There's a lot to say about it.
I will be doing at least 12 to 16 hours of streaming on Saturday for Extra Life. We're gonna be we'll be doing it on this channel, and we'll be hosted by TakeThis.org.
Will you be a quiet man during that time?
So let me tell you. So the first game I'm going to stream in the morning is, or I may wait till there are more people are awake, but the Quiet Man in its entirety, because it's like apparently like a 3 or 4 hour game.
It's only like 3 hours.
I'm going to play the whole game.
Let me know when, because I want to do screen share and I want to do commentary with you.
Please do. No, yes.
I want to figure out what Mom Wife is.
Anybody who is willing to, anybody who wants to do this with me on this podcast, please. I will let you know when it's time to be quiet. I played this game for about 30 minutes at PAX West, and it is just an unbelievably, indescribably terrible game. And I have heard it now that people have finished it. It is literally being called the Room of video games. Like it's the Tommy Wiseau of video games, and I cannot fucking wait to play it. Like I am so excited.
I can't fathom this.
How did this game get greenlit?
It's almost like Square Enix.
Yeah, like how?
It's not even just for like.
Well, and they said this game has like millions of dollars worth of budget. There's
Yeah.
live acting. There's I told you guys. Do you remember what I told you? I said in the demo, I fought the same 2 guys over and over and over. There's 3 guys you fight over, 3 character models you fight the entire game, over and over and over.
Can I? Yeah. So just one small thing. When it was at PAX, I was listening to various podcasts talking about this game. One thing they mentioned was that they forgot that the guy who works at Waypoint was playing it. They forgot he was playing. And they came back, and he was unlocking achievements because it wasn't just a demo. They had him playing the full game at PAX.
It was the full game.
The full game was there.
It was the actual full game.
Yeah.
I could. And here's the thing: the lady running the booth just kind of wandered off. I could have stayed there longer. I just put the controller down. I was like, all right, well, this is terrible.
That shows how much they care.
But
So,
okay. Yeah. Sorry.
No. Go ahead. No.
I was just gonna say, so please come to Extra Life, and then again, we kind of announced it earlier in the week, but we're gonna keep iterating out throughout the week. On Tuesday, we are having a U.S. only giveaway. We're going to give away Dead Cells on any platform that the winner wants. All you need to do is we're gonna have a tweet put up Tuesday morning. We just want you to tweet an I voted sticker at us. It doesn't have to be your face. It can just be your shirt, whatever. You don't need to have a selfie.
Show us
okay.
that you voted, that you participated in democracy.
Yes, we want you to get out there. We want you to vote. And listen, if it's raining, it's cold, whatever, I get it. But do it for Dead Cells. Please vote. This is a really fucking important election. Really fucking important.
Yeah, this is something that a lot of us are very, very passionate about, is getting people out to vote for this midterm election, because it is such a crucial one for the U.S. right now. So
absolutely,
we are happy to try to make it as much as people want to go.
When it's listen to the man dressed as Wario with a beautiful voice. Okay,
so
fucking vote.
And so it's somebody who served this, the state the country is in is not what I fought for. So it's very important to me that anybody who cares about the future and the direction that this country is headed, please go to the polls on Tuesday and vote. Please, I'm begging you.
Do it.
Like this, it's not about video games. It's not about talking about video games. This is about the future of our country, and it's nothing to be trifled with. It's nothing to play around with. On this podcast, we know when to joke around and have fun, and we also know when to be serious. And this is a very, very serious thing. It would mean a lot to us.
Yep. If
you would go out and do your civic duty and vote to help make this country better.
And listen, we're gonna have rules out on Tuesday. And if you're not a U.S. citizen and you're not gonna be able to participate, please still try to signal boost if you can. Around the holidays, I'm sure myself and anybody else who has some spare scratch on the holidays, we'll put up a giveaway that's a little bit wider in reach. We know this one for the U.S. is a little bit tight, but it's just really
voting's
important.
Kind of important because
it's kind of important because this is so fucking bad. Listen. So you can't be in the Dead Cells or the Dead Cells giveaway, but you don't live in a shithole. So
yeah.
So
exactly. Really, you win a giveaway every day. You wake up not here.
So I will say 2 more things real quick.
Okay.
One, 2 weeks from now, I will be in San Francisco hosting Kind of Funny Games Daily with Greg Miller. So please look forward to that. Are you guys gonna have a podcast on that? Because I won't be here. Feel free to podcast. Go.
It'll be the day before Pokemon comes out, so we'll at least have that to talk about.
Yeah, you should go. You should go without me.
Okay, we need to end before Derek has fully taken off.
No, I'm not. I need the overall.
Derek is slowly taking off glove finger by finger.
I will give you one more thing. A quick 2 minutes, no more than 2 minutes, wholesome story to end your day. Because it's been a fucking terrible day. I'll give you a wholesome story. Last night, I was walking around with some fellow parents and doing the whole trick-or-treat thing. And with me, I had this handsome boy right here. I had this bad boy here with me.
Mm-hmm.
I was walking around, and all of a sudden, I was walking down the street, and all of a sudden, I hear about maybe 50 feet away, I hear, Thanos! And I turn around, and there's this little 7 or 8-year-old kid wearing a Captain America costume. And he's got his mask. He's got his mask up, but he's got a shield, and he's just standing there looking at me like. And I had the glove open, so I turned around, and the glove was off, right? So I'll turn the glove off to give you the full effect. So the glove was off, and I brought it up. I looked at him. I turned around and I brought it up, and I looked at him and I went, and he freaked out. He yelled. He puts his mask on, grabs his shield, and goes, "Ah!" and runs at me as fast as he can. Throws his shield at me, I batted it out of the way with the Infinity Gauntlet, and then he runs up and grabs the gauntlet, just like Captain America did in the movie. And he starts pushing back and yelling, and so I'm just like staring at him and pushing him back. And then I said, what was the line from the movie? I said, dread it, run from it.
Destiny still arrives.
All the same. And this kid, it looked like he made his fucking night. And his parents came up and they were like, "Thank you so much for that." And I was like, no. So then I started looking for other superhero kids to fight. You know, I'm like, come on, learn, man.
Eventually, you got arrested because you were just running up and punching children.
Normal things adults do. Got it.
But there's a wholesome little story to end your night with. But as always, guys, it's not always poetry, and we don't always agree, but we always keep it real. So until next week, we'll see you guys later. If that.